everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sue and this is SMB Jewelry Designs. If you're new, hello, welcome. I hope you enjoy what I'm going to do here today. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back and thank you for joining me again. So we're going to get into a little bit more resin work. I've decided to do another cup today on my tumbler. I've only done a couple and I wanted to try, this isn't really new or different or anything, but I got some new glitter that you might have seen in the very beginning of this video, and I thought I would love to put it on a cup and then add some embellishments to it. So we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. So this is a plastic cup. You can get them at a lot of craft stores. They have the screw top, they come with a straw, and they are entirely plastic. Don't really know what else to say about this. I have done another one similar to this. You can see it in my previous videos. If I forget to link it, just go back and look at beginning resin tumbler, and you should be able to find it. So I know that these are successful is what I'm trying to get at. So I know putting resin on here will be very successful. So the first thing I want to start with is cleaning up this cup. If you've watched other cup tutorials, you'll see that they often use the stainless steel. They wash it, sand it, and spray it with spray paint. For this particular cup, because I'm going to put the glitter on first, all I'm really going to do is spray this with some alcohol just to get it clean. And I've got a rag over here that I'm going to wipe it all down with. And this will just get any oils off my finger, from my fingers off the tumbler, and it'll also clean it up really well. Now I want to avoid touching this with my fingers so that I don't get any more oil on it. So I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to quickly grab a pair of gloves. I'm going to need them anyway, so pardon me while I reach over into my glove box. No pun intended. And get my gloves. Oh my gosh. It's a Sunday and I feel a little bit nutty today. And my light that I was using just quit. So if it got really dark here, it's not you. It's my light. I don't know why it went off. Try it again. Okay. Sometimes I guess it just turns off. I don't know why it does that. Didn't ask it to. Anyway, onward. So I've cleaned off my cup, like I said. Now I want to get ready to put the glitter on. And for that, I'm going to use something called Aleene's Tack It Over and Over. And you may have seen this before on other channels. It's really nice to use for applying glitter directly to the surface of a cup. And before you're concerned that I laid my cup down on my mat, I did clean this mat thoroughly. It may not look super clean, but it is clean, so no worries there. I'm going to take a silicone squeegee that I have just for such an emergency, and that's what I'm going to hopefully use to put the tacket down. Now I know a lot of other folks that you may have watched on other channels typically mix this up, or some people do, not everybody. Some people mix this up with water just to give it a longer, to give them more to be able to work with in the future, especially for folks that do this on a very regular basis. I'm not terribly worried about it because I don't do this every day. if you're new to my channel, I am primarily a jewelry designer and maker, and I do have a store on Etsy where I sell my jewelry. I do primarily work with gemstones, so that is the focus of my jewelry business. However, I have just opened up a new shop where I sell a lot of other items that I have made. I do dabble in polymer clay, and I hope to have a polymer clay video on here soon. And I'll touch on that in a second. So as I was going to say, I just opened up a new store on Etsy. It's called Galloping Kitty. And that store has an eclectic variety of things. It goes anywhere from jewelry to things for the house. I have clocks, or at least a clock on there right now, I believe. And like I said, polymer clay creations that I've made. And hopefully very soon, other things related to gemstones where it's not specifically, and if I'm going out of shot here, I apologize, where it's not specifically just related to jewelry. All right. So what I was going to say in addition to that is this channel, although I do provide advice and information if I have it available to me, currently I'm not a tutorial channel. And the reason for that is simply because I like to experiment. I like to learn. My light went off again. I apologize, guys. Didn't realize it. I like to learn, and I like to create, and I like to just share what I'm doing. So you won't often see me doing an actual tutorial. Sometime in the future I may, but for right now, that's not what I'm going to be focusing on. So if you just like to learn and like to see how things are going to turn out before you try to do them, I like to make this channel about that. So I'm going to pause here for a second, let the Aleen's tack it over and over, dry and become tacky, and then I'll touch it up if I found any places that I've missed anything, and we'll be right back for the glitter. Hold on. Whoops, I just hit my tripod. Okay guys, so we're back, and I finished doing the Aleen's tack it over and over on here. So now I'm going to get ready to sprinkle the glitter on. So you see I've got a piece of white paper here to capture the overage, because you don't want to waste all of that glitter because it is going to sprinkle off. Oops, forgot I had sticky stuff on the bottom there. Alright, so I'm just going to sprinkle this all over. And like I said, we're not wasting this, it's going on the paper, so I can pick it up and put it back in the container when I'm done with whatever didn't stick. And this is nothing new. Loads of people on the internet do this very process. So I'm not the only one. This is not my idea. Just taken from the many that come before. But I do have a few ideas of things I'm going to do that might be a little different. or at least unique to me, and I haven't seen anywhere else. Alright, now I'm just going to take my fingers and burnish this in. This will get everything laying flat or get the excess to come off. And you can see there's, I don't know if they're coming up on camera, hopefully they are. You can see there's a few spots here that I did not get enough sticky on, and that's good. That means that I can go back and reapply the sticky, and when it dries I can put the glitter back over it. But surprisingly, just looks like just that one spot, so that's not bad. I do want to try to get this bottom a little better. Okay. Alright, so a few spots right here on this one side that could have some more adhesive put on there. And I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this cup right now. I mean, it's pretty, but this glitter is way prettier than what's on here right now. So I'm going to take a second to go over this with some more of the tacket in the places that I need it, and we'll come back. So stay tuned. Okay, so we're back. I've already applied the glitter over the top of the area that I redid the tacket, and surprisingly you can see a really big difference. So here's a side where I applied one layer of the Aliens tacket over and over and sprinkled on my glitter, and you can see after burnishing it in how like sheer it is compared to, again, just a reminder, what the actual glitter looks like. So then I reapplied, like I said, because we had those spots that were bare, and this is a lot less sheer. You can still see my fingers through it, but it's not like it is over here where you can really see my fingers. So I think what I'm going to do is go over this again with another layer of the tacket and do the glitter again and see what we end up with. If I hadn't gotten this result here, I was just going to go over the entire cup with my resin and just embed the glitter in it, which I still may do just to see how it turns out. But since I got such a nice result the second go around with the tacket, I think I'm going to do that to the entire cup. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you've already seen me apply the tacket, so I won't do that portion on camera. One thing I did want to point out that I don't think I mentioned earlier is when you apply this, it does go on white. I don't know if you noticed, and I forgot to point it out. You can go back in the video to see it. But once it's dry, it'll be clear. So that's how you know it's dry and sticky, other than to touch it. But I just wanted to point that out just in case I forgot. All right, I'm going to go and reapply the tacket, and we'll be back in just a blink of an eye for you guys. Stay tuned. Hey guys, so we're back. So I've finished putting the glitter on the cup, and I think overall it looks better than it did. It's definitely more coverage, and I think when I get ready to put the resin on, I'll probably add a little bit of the glitter into it just to keep it extra sparkly. But now that we're done putting this on, and I've already burnished it as well as I can, I'm going to go and prepare the next step. And I think what I want to do, because this is such a, in my mind, this coral color is such a pretty summer color that it gives me kind of beach summertime vibes. And I wanted to add some things that make me think of the beach. So I was thinking about seashells, sand turtles, or sea turtles, not sand turtles. Oh my gosh, what's a sand turtle? I don't know. Anyway, some turtles, and I'll see what other kinds of things I might have that can lend themselves to that. I think I might have some starfish too. So I'm going to go and check to see what I have, and we'll be back in just a second to see what I have picked out to add to this cup. So stay tuned. Okay, we are back, and I've picked out some things that I would like to add to our cup. And what I've picked out are some metal starfish. They're not terribly wide, so I think they'll work. Got a random assortment of different kinds of shells. And we've got some kind of larger, sea turtles. So what I think I'm going to do is, let me think. I think I'm going to go ahead and put a layer of resin on this first to seal the glitter in and to keep it from going anywhere, because it keeps coming off on my fingers. So I think I'm going to do that first. And then I think I'm going to use some UV resin to then attach these little guys to the cup. And what I'm thinking is that these will sit up here along with some starfish kind of mixed around. And then, I will do a smattering of seashells around the bottom of the cup. And I think that'll look pretty cute. And since this is all an experiment, we don't know where it's going to go, so stay tuned. I'm going to mix up the resin off camera, get my turner set up, and we'll put the resin on and let it turn. And once that's done, we will come back and do the embellishments with the UV resin. Once those are added, then we'll put another coat of resin over the top of it. And I think for this coat, since I'm putting it right on, I'm going to mix the glitter in with that. So once the resin is ready to go, I'll bring you back for that part of it. So stick around and I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. And I'm sorry that my camera's shaking. Apologize for that. So I've got my resin mixed up. You can see that this is the amazing clear cast resin that I just get at my local Michael's. This is only the third cup I've ever done, so we're still in the beginning stages and the experimentation stages. So until I decide this is something that I want to do a little bit more frequently, I'm just going to stick with resin that I know works for me. It's not the best resin on the market by any means, but for what I need it for, it's totally fine. So I've mixed up 20 milliliters of that resin, and I've put some of the glitter in it. The glitter that I'm using is extra fine glitter it's a Recollections, a Michael's brand glitter. In case you were curious, it's called Bright Coral. And I'm going to turn on my turner here, put the resin on, and we're going to let it spin. And then once we're done, we'll come back, add the embellishments with the UV resin. And the reason I'm using the UV resin for that is so that I can stick them on and fix them there so that they don't spin off, obviously, because the resin is still liquid, and if I just put them on with regular resin, obviously they would just fall off. I could use glue, but I know that UV resin will work just fine, so I'm going to try that first, and we'll see how it goes. Again, just an experiment, never done this before. This is my first time doing this kind of a process, so we'll see how it goes. Alrighty, let's get the wheel on, and I'll probably fast forward you through this part, so yeah, let's get going. Okay, I think that does it. So we're going to let this spin and see what we end up with at the end. Fingers crossed it goes well. No reason to think that it won't. So we'll be back. Hey guys, we're back. And I have completed letting my cup turn. And this is how it turned out. Not too terribly bad. It's a little patchy in places. Like right here, it's kind of thin. But yeah, I mean, for what it is and for the experimental process that it is, it turned out really well. The resin is nice and smooth. There's no grittiness from the glitter anywhere. There's no bumps, no fish eyes, no nothing. So it worked out really well. Like I said, could be a little better in some spots, but you know, for a cup that's going to belong to me, that I'm just experimenting with, I'm not real worried about it. So, like I said, I have my UV lamp over here. I have my decor UV resin that I use all the time. Over here in a separate bowl, I have the pieces that I'm going to put on my cup. I have something to help me spread out the resin a little bit. So I think we're ready to go. So now I've just got to figure out what I want to do first and how I want to get these set up. And I think what I'm going to do is take the bottom off of my lamp. That way I can kind of pick it up and hover it over things. I would use my little torch, but it's not as strong as I think it should be for something like this. So I think, oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Jeez, didn't mean to hit my thing. I think what I'm going to do is start with the shells, and I think I'm going to start putting them across the bottom, and I'm going to do it a little bit sporadically. I have plenty of shells, but I don't know exactly what kind of coverage I want to get from everything. And now that I got that little tool out, there it is. Didn't know where I put it. All right, so I'm just going to use this to, I could use a brush. I have silicone tools and stuff, but I just thought maybe this would be a little bit easier. So I'm just going to put these down. And the layer of UV resin that I've just put on here is rather thin. And I'm thinking it's probably thinner than it should be. So I'm going to do a flash cure really fast here. Oops. I see I have a big blob of resin over here that I don't want. So I'm going to kind of put that back where it needs to be and see if I can't stick another shell on there. Pop it under here. Do a quick flash cure. I hit the 60-second button, but I'm not going to let it go for 60 seconds. I'm just going to put it in here for maybe half of that, just long enough for the resin to start what's the word I'm looking for, guys? Setting, to start, you know, firming up and setting in place. Boy, it's late at night right now. It's after 9 o'clock in the evening, and my brain's not working anymore, and that's quite apparent. So At least they're on there. They're not going anywhere, so that's a plus. And I think for this part, I'm just going to time lapse you because it's going to be pretty repetitive. I'm just going to be doing the same thing, and rather than use the UV tool that I just got out, I'm just going to use my finger. It's just as easy, and I can put them on with my left hand. So I will fast forward you guys through this. You won't hear me talking unless I have something I want to share. Okay guys, so we're done with the shells, and just a couple of things I want to talk about really quickly here. All right, so first of all, the UV resin seems to have worked just fine, and I'm really kind of happy with how this turned out. All in all, I think the UV resin worked extremely well. I think I want to do a few more shells, which I will do off camera, a few more small ones. But a couple of things I wanted to point out. First of all, got a little bit heavy with the UV resin when I first started. It started dripping down the sides of the cup, and I was having to fish it back up. And at one point, I put it under the UV lamp and tried to push the resin back up when I realized it was dripping before it had really set, and it's really hot. I had gloves on. It didn't injure my finger, but it was very hot and it could have burned me, and don't recommend that. So once you start putting it under the UV light, don't touch it. Just take it from me, you don't want to do that. Secondly, they did have a tendency to slide a little bit. I lost one down on the floor here somewhere. I don't know if you saw that. But I also decided to take my gloves off because my glove was getting in the way, making it very difficult for me to place the shells where I wanted them to be. I even got my tweezers out and promptly forgot I even got them out. So that was another thing. And what I think I'm going to have to do once I've added a few more shells on here, I think I'm going to have to go back through with just a little bit more resin to kind of make sure that everything is adhered in place and that they're not going to go anywhere. That way when I come in with the resin on my turner, everything stays where it's supposed to stay. Now, just to kind of level set a little bit, I don't plan on putting enough resin on this cup to cover up these shells. I do want the texture there. There will be a little bit of resin flowing around there, trying to get in between the nooks and crannies of the shells, which is fine. But I have to be a little bit vigilant when I put the resin on that I'm not seeing a lot of bubbles, because some of these shells that I put on, don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but like this purple one does have a little hole in it. So the resin could go in there and potentially create an air bubble, which I don't necessarily want to have. And I'm feeling resin on my hands, so apparently I have resin on my cup somewhere that has not cured. So I just sprayed my hands with some alcohol to get it off. All right, so with that being said, I think I'm going to go back and just add maybe 4 or 5 more shells just to even everything out. There's just a couple of gaps that I want to fill in. I'll put a little bit more UV resin around here, and then we'll come back and do the body of the cup where I want to do the larger sea turtles and a couple of the starfish. And I'm going to try to aim for evening everything out as much as possible. That way I just, when the final layer of resin goes on, I don't have any major issues. So yeah, so far so good. We'll see what happens. All right, I'm going to go off and do the rest of the UV resin and the rest of the shells offline, off camera, so you don't have to sit through that, and I will come back once I finish that. So stay tuned again. All right, so I'm done with the bottom. I've got all of my seashells on here. And again, I'm really sorry that my light's not the best tonight. I am filming this at night, but I didn't want to waste any more time trying to get it done. So those are the shells. And I think they turned out really good. And I want to explain again, the reason I did another layer of resin was to make sure that these were really stuck on. That way when I'm wiping the final coat of resin on the cup, they don't pop off on me. So I did go around. There was a couple that were loose, so I did go in and just make sure I had enough UV resin on there to make sure that they stayed. Went around and touched a few of them, and they all seem pretty secure, so I'm pretty happy with that. So now my next step will be to go in and put the other embellishments on. If you remember, we want to do some of these little metal turtles. So I'm going to try my best to see if I can get these on and see how they look, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to put one right here. I'm going to take some of my resin, kind of mush it all in there a little bit, set him on here, and mush him around so he has some good contact. And do the same thing that I've been doing. I'm going to put it under my light, and hopefully he adheres. Okay, so that one's done. Let's see if we had some success. He didn't come off. I don't want to touch him yet because he's probably still hot. He is metal, and it was under the UV lamp, so I don't want to be touching it too much. So now I'm going to look for a place that I think I want to put one of the starfish. So I think I'll put a starfish right here. He's kind of a bronze color, so maybe I'll go for a more coppery kind of color. Again, smush it around so it makes good contact, and back under the lamp. Okay, everybody, I'm back. All right, so I've got the cup on my turner, and now I'm just gonna put the clear resin on. I've already mixed up a little bit. And I think I've got an idea, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do it yet, so we'll see what happens. But I'm going to turn this on and start putting the resin on, and we'll see where we go from here. So I'll probably speed this part up, but we'll see. Hold on. Okay, so I seem to have a pretty good coverage on here, and I think I'm going to do a little bit of alcohol ink, and we'll just see where this goes. So let me find my inks. Sure that I want this blue or not, but this is an experiment, right? So I'm going to put a little bit of the blue on here. Alright, let me see if I can find my white. Advanced white. I don't know how much of this I got left, we'll see. So now I'm going to put on some advanced white, which is like a deeper white. see if I can get it to swirl a little bit. And this is my stick. I think this is going to be awful. We'll see. Maybe not. I'm trying to give it a slightly more watery effect. I don't know if this is going to work. I do have a heat gun. And as luck would have it, it's actually plugged in for a change. So this might be a little loud. I didn't want to heat it up too much, like I probably already did, just because I don't want there to be, I don't want the resin to run off the cup like it was kind of already starting to. So I don't know. We'll let this turn and we'll see where it goes. Do have a little bit of resin left here, so I'm gonna, I think, just add a little bit more. Encourage some more movement, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, total experiment. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. We can only try and see what happens. All right, folks. Well, I think we're going to let that go and see how it comes out. It could be super ugly. It might be pretty, but we'll not know until the end. Maybe I've wrecked it. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, we're back. And here is the cup that we've been working on over the last few days. So I don't think it's too bad. Surprisingly, what I had hoped to do kind of worked. So I was going for a, beach kind of shell theme here at the bottom with some starfish and some sea turtles, and then a little bit of the waves crashing in over the coral background that's like the sand. So it didn't do too bad. Overall, I'm pleased that it even worked like I hoped it was going to work. So the UV resin worked well. The regular resin on the cup worked well. the little bit of the blue that I put in here didn't overwhelm the cup too much. I mean, like in here, I don't mind it as much. On camera, I'm not sure if it's coming out like it is in person. But, so here are the, the drawbacks, excuse me. So there are a couple of spots, and I think that's picking up on camera right there. See that little divot right here where the white is? That's a fisheye. It's a place where the resin did not flow over the area. And it's not the only place. There are a few others. There's one kind of right here you can see. So I'm not going to point them all out, but there's a few. So I would have to go back over this a little bit with some more resin. Overall, do I think it's a bad cup? No. I did have some spillage of the white up here, so I'm probably going to figure out, well, I guess we can do that while we're on camera here. I don't know yet if I'm going to resin the top, this part. I don't think so, but I haven't decided. But since the threads only go to here, and we have all of this kind of jaggedy stuff up here, I'm either going to do some sort of a border around here, maybe with some washi tape or something, or I'll just go back through and tape off the threads so that I don't get any resin up here, and then I can put resin right up to the tape. That's probably what I'm going to do. And then I've got to go back through and get some resin in some of these fish eyes, clean them up a little bit with some alcohol maybe, and then see if the fish eyes clear up. But overall, I don't think it's too bad. There are some shells that stick up quite a lot, and that's just because of the shell. So I don't know that I would necessarily use that shell again. But since I don't plan on selling this or anything, since it's going to be my own and it was just an experiment, I'm not too worried about it. But I do like how the turtles came out. I think they're kind of cool. And at least now I know I can do it, right? So there is a little bit of a learning here. So I'm going to take this away. I am going to do some more resin up to the top here, and clean up some of the other fish eyes that I've got. And once that's all done, I will bring you back for the end result, and I will kind of bring it maybe out in the sunshine so you can really see it sparkle instead of under the lights here that I have in my craft area. All right, so stay tuned. So far, not too bad. Back. So I wanted to share with you the finished cup like I promised. It's raining outside, so I thought I'd show you here as it's later in the day, and this is probably the room with the best light in it. So the tape job didn't turn out the best. I did put tape up here. I did do some more resin. Didn't turn out the best. Some of the resin was too far up on the tape and it pulled away, so I'm going to end up UV resining this and adding a little bit more glitter to it and cleaning up the edge. There's some sanding I'll have to do as well because there's some rough spots that you might or might not be able to pick up in this video. The resin last coating worked just fine. It took care of all the fish eyes, so I don't have any fish eyes left, which is a good thing. The resin turned out all right. I put a little bit more sparkle in it, so there's a little bit of glitter that shows up on sea turtles and on the shells. And I kind of like the way that turned out with a little bit of the sparkle over the blue, like we showed before. The other part I'm not really sure I'm entirely happy with is how much the resin pooled around the embellishments. There was a lot of pooling, which I kind of anticipated, just it's going to be the way that it is. So what are my overall thoughts? It's not the best thing ever. The water could definitely be better. However, I do like the method I used to put the shells on, and the sea turtles, and the starfish. I do like how they turned out overall. I think the process worked really well. I am kind of regretting after the fact that I put the blue on. And in the future, if I do this again, I will put a lot more shells on than what I did here. And I won't put some of them on that I had put on just to try them out that are higher because it's got a chance of getting caught on something or um, just potentially getting in the way. So I would put a lot of the flat ones on and I do a lot more of them. But overall, the process worked really well. I'm very pleased with how the embellishments worked. I like the texture of it. I like the fact that it's not just a flat cup. It gives it a nice feeling. And I think going forward that if I were to use this glitter again, I would put it right in the resin. I would not put it on the cup first. With the Aleenes, I think it's an unnecessary step that didn't really benefit any true results. So I am I keep saying overall, I don't mean to repeat myself. I am very pleased with the process. I think it worked well, and I think it did what I wanted it to. Again, not a total success, but not a total failure either. So I hope everybody found this beneficial, found some of the processes useful. Maybe you can apply them in your own future creations. You can use this as a learning video as it was just an experiment. And I appreciate you tuning in and watching. If you're new and you haven't subscribed, a subscription would be really helpful for me. And if you are so inclined, leave me a like and or a comment below. And if I have links to anything that I can include in this video, I will put them in the description box below in the bottom of this video. All right, well, thank you again for tuning in. Take care. Have a great day or evening wherever you are, and I will see you again soon. Bye.